I could tell you what the song is about, but one time my brother asked me what this song was about because he really liked it. And I told him, and he said, Angie, do me a favor. And I said, what's that? And he said, don't ever, ever tell me what your songs are about ever again.
This is Champaign is Also a Band podcast. One songwriter, one song. I'm Sven, your host for a journey into the music of Champaign-Urbana. Recorded in the Blue Box studio with a songwriter from the Champaign-Urbana music scene, past or present. Welcome to Champaign is Also a Band podcast. Today, I have Angie Heaton, and we're going to talk about It's Easier When You're Here from the album Let It Ride. And you may know Angie from, as I will try to say some of these bands. Let's see, we've got 40 Days.
Can I tell you about the bands, or do you want to
do that?
Do you want to just list them off?
Well, I usually list them off, but, if you want to do that, that'd be awesome. I think that'd be
40
fun.
Days was a band I had in high school with Bielema, who also produced and recorded and basically played everything on the Let It Ride album. There you go.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We
That's
went
good.
to prom together.
Oh.
Fun fact.
How'd that go?
Funny you should ask. Kurt and I had a great time together.
Awesome. So, should I go on to Elysian Fields?
When I contacted the singer of Elysian Fields, he did not remember me being the very first drummer. So that kind of tells you how that was going at that time.
Very brief? Could it
Very
be?
brief
Oh.
and very drinky time in my life. That was at Mizzou. I always say I went to Mizzou, but I was merely enrolled
In Mizzou.
at Mizzou. So
I see.
I didn't really go.
So is this, and then Catgut?
Oh, Catgut was a band with Dean Schwank in it, and I can't remember the other guys' names. Dean Schwank was so cute. I was confused for a minute, so I joined a band. He had long hair and drove a Chevy pickup truck.
All right.
Do you know Dean?
I don't know.
He ended up being in the Gentle Tamers.
And then let's see. So we've got El Camino Joyride Theme.
Oh, right. That's the band in some guy's basement. We recorded a theme song for Allison Davis Woods had a radio show on PGU, or maybe it was WEFT. Called the El Camino Joyride.
Very cool. And then So Few Bullets.
So Few Bullets was pre-Corndolly, Amy Gasso, Lynn Fisher, and myself. So Few Bullets. We were kind of like... well, I better not say.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
It was supposed to be so few men, so few bullets. We weren't really man-hating, like...
I see.
I don't know. I don't know what was going on in our head. So few bullets.
Well, I think you were pre-addressing some very obvious problems with the patriarchy. How about that? Let's just say.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
How about that? We'll just go with
we
that.
We weren't like super radical separatist feminists or anything. I wasn't. Again, a time where I don't remember much of what was going on.
Gotcha. So, Corndolly. I think that's like, is that your... Yeah. I mean, I think that's where a lot of people would remember you from, other than your solo work, obviously. But
maybe we should just cut all the stuff we just talked about out and just talk about Corndolly.
Okay. I mean, we could...
we don't have to.
Why don't we just go down this rabbit hole and then see how it turns out?
Okay, that's perfect. Corndolly was Amy from So Few Bullets, and I got together with Wendy and Rachel from a band called Sheila, which I think also Allison Davis was the drummer in that band. And then we decided to form Corndolly. I just did what people told me at that time.
Oh, okay. And you were a drummer at that point, right?
I was, yes.
Yeah. So,
I was a drummer in all of those bands up until I started playing solo.
Gotcha. And then, so Liquorette?
Drummer. Band with what was left over of Corndolly after singer quit the band. Rachel moved, and we had a new bass player in Corndolly named Matt Friedberger. And he went on to be kind of fancy in a band called Fiery Furnaces with his sister Eleanor Friedberger. Have you heard of them?
I have. That's wonderful. So it looked like you joined the Tractor Kings for a little bit. And
I did.
Played some drums.
Played some drums with the Tractor Kings. I played on an album called Gone to Heaven. I love country music.
And then, of course, you as the solo, Angie Heaton. But your first band, besides the, I guess, being solo, was with the Gentle Tamers.
Right. I had a book called The Gentle Tamers, which was about women who pioneered the West. And I just really liked the name. So I had this group of guys that I was playing with, and I said, I want to be Angie Heaton and the Gentle Tamers. And they were like, that's cool. And then I told them where it came from. Nobody cared.
Awesome. And that was, and let me remember, the Gentle Tamers at the time were, was that Josh Quirk and?
No. Okay. So the first incarnation, we'll say, of the Gentle Tamers was Kurt Bielema and Nick Rudd. No, that's not true. The first incarnation was me on drums, Nick Rudd on guitar, and Charlie Dold on bass.
Okay.
And then I think Kurt started playing guitar and Charlie was on bass. And then it was Dean Schwenk on bass.
Okay.
Kurt Bielema on guitar. Me on guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And Todd Fletcher on drums. And at one point, Brendan Gamble played drums. So after that, it was a revolving door, probably because of my unique personality. After that, I met Josh Quirk, who is my best friend, and he said, I'll put a band together for you. And he played drums.
Nice.
Bob Watson played guitar, and Josh Walden played bass.
Okay. Yeah, I think...
And I played guitar.
To be honest, I think that was the first incarnation that I remember seeing. But it might have just been because I already knew, like, Josh from the Brat Pack.
Yep.
And I can't believe I just blanked on that name. And then, and Bob Watson you would see over at like, Iron Post playing with...
He's the man.
People, yeah, just...
He's good.
All over the place, just playing all these like session-ish people that play, that they're used to just dropping in and playing.
Well, you should always play with people who are better than you are.
Yeah.
And these guys are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. But
to say the least.
you have to accept the fact too that they also admire you greatly, or else they wouldn't play with you. Thank you and welcome to the show. I'm so happy that we were finally able to like meet and get together and get this recorded and talk. Because, I feel like a lot of people ask me about why haven't I interviewed Angie Heaton yet? And if we're not, and if it's not that, no, I've had a few people. I would say, okay, granted, it's not a ton of people, but the most people have asked for me to interview you. Let's just say that.
Well, that's very kind.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you to all my fan.
I guess without further ado, why don't we listen to the song It's Easier When You're Here.
Let's do it.
All right.
Welcome back, Sven.
Hey, welcome back to me. All right. And to you, Angie.
Do you think I talk too much?
No.
Okay.
I like it actually when people talk more than I do because, I'm generally a shy guy and,
I'm going to do an interview of you for your podcast.
Okay. Okay.
Later. We'll do that later.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, should we do that now? Okay.
Sven and I go way back, so he knows that I have some attention issues.
What?
I'm drifting already.
You have what?
Attention.
For what? What are we doing? What? But that's all right because I also have difficulty staying squirrel
Focused.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
Sven, it's easier when you're here.
Thanks. Well, I mean, I'm sure that the podcast would be. Hopefully, the podcast is easier when you are here, or else it'd just be me making guesses about why this song came about. So let me just start off with: is this something that started out with guitar chords, or did you already have some words? And I mean, what brought this song about?
Funny you should ask, since this is what this podcast is about.
I love you, Angie.
And I've not thought about it at all. It's easier when you're here. What inspired this song was there was a band called Love Cup.
Okay.
Do you remember that band?
I don't. I need to. Is it? I'm guessing it's a local band then.
It was a local band. A lot of my lyrics are like borrowed from other people. I wouldn't say it's plagiarism.
No, it's definitely, you're very referential, that's for sure.
Like I reference Bob Dylan sometimes, and I reference just songs I've liked. And I even wrote a song once that was just the titles of the names of songs that I liked and made a song out of it. I would say nothing is original. And I've heard before also, like, if you steal something, it's already been stolen twice.
Probably. I would agree with that easily.
A lot of my songs they just kind of come out of me. So I will be playing some chords and then likely a lyric will come out. A lot of my songs are written right in that moment. Most of them.
Uh-huh.
But I'll have ideas of like lyrics that I've heard before, lyrics that I've wanted to use. But most of the time it's a surprise to me what comes out. I could tell you what the song is about, but one time my brother asked me what this song was about because he really liked it. And I told him, and he said, Angie, do me a favor. And I said, what's that? And he said, don't ever, ever tell me what your songs are about ever again.
Oh, no.
Because I think what it was actually about ruined it for him.
I'm more interested in when the actual meaning or the basis for the song is completely different than what I imagined. I think that just opens up the whole multiverse of what our existence is, right? So it's like we're taking multiple interpretations of the same words or same musical intent, but it means something different to each person. And I think that's a lot more fascinating than, oh, this is very, very obvious exactly what this song is about. And that's just been my experience so far with this podcast. It's just hearing the different stories and how they come about.
Well, ultimately, I would say this song is about people coming into your life that help you to live better. Like it's easier when this person is in your life, or it's easier when this person is in your life. When I was writing it, I was trying to get sober. So I was all messed up. Like I had been drinking pretty heavily for many years. And it's about three different things, mostly three different people who inspired me to get and stay sober.
So this song came out of that decision, or you had already made that decision to get sober?
Well, I can tell you what I told my brother.
Okay.
And he said, Angie, it's easier when you hear about? And I said, well, one day I went to the gym. And he said, okay. And I said there was somebody working out on one of the machines that I could tell was struggling with something, with like probably an eating disorder or an exercise disorder or some kind of addiction too. It was very apparent to me that this person was struggling. Whether they were or not, I have no idea. But in my mind, I thought they're struggling. And I was struggling. And my girlfriend at the time got me into working out. And we would go to this gym every morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I hated it. I hated having to be accountable for my health or to my girlfriend to get up and go to the gym every day. When I would watch this person who I could tell was struggling, I was like, I'm struggling too. But she was always there. It was easier for me. It was easier for me to work out because that person was there. Somehow it gave me inspiration, or that it felt like there was a reason to be there. There was a reason to get better. There was a reason to keep going. I felt like I was getting better, and I felt like maybe she wasn't. I don't know. I don't even, yeah.
Well, that rolls into that line of, I had a dream that one of us started living and the other one just tried.
Right. Yeah, but I wasn't sure like who was who, at the time.
Right. Wow.
And then when I was getting sober, I met some other people that were doing the same thing, and just having people around you that, it's like, hey, everything's not unicorns and rainbows. It's like, we've been there. We know you're struggling. We're struggling too. It's just, that's what makes me want to try again.
Yeah.
It sounds so dorky to talk about it.
No, actually, I'm like touched because I don't know if you ever got a chance to hear the first episode of this podcast where Elizabeth Majuris and I kind of sang your praises, but
I did listen to it.
Okay.
I did.
I mean, that's and the thing is that we both said, there's something that's so simple about some of the words that you write, but there's so much to unpack with each of your words. You could take all of your lyrics at face value and it's still a wonderful song, but like the deeper meanings that you can tell contextually, it's like a fine, I was going to say like a fine wine where it just like as it breathes a little bit, it just gets better and better. I really appreciate that you're opening up about what this song is about. And I think it's interesting, and I'll probably never tell you how you changed mine. It's like that person, you probably don't even know who that person's name is.
I do know who they are, and I did meet them. It was weird because I would be around town and I would see them, and finally I sort of befriended this person. But yeah, they have no idea that I thought that or anything. And right. Plus I talked to everybody. They just probably thought it's weird, Angie, whatever.
But I appreciate that.
But I have no idea where they are now, and that part about when you look into a stranger's eyes and you realize that you recognize. Don't you think that's true? It's like I remember when I met you and I thought, oh, you're part of my soul group. Do you remember me telling you that?
I remember you telling me that, but I thought that was something that kind of came up later in our relationship. Now I'm realizing that maybe you had thought that originally and just didn't want to scare me off, maybe.
Probably. But do you know when you were very vulnerable, not vulnerable, but like you can get vulnerable. I hate the word vulnerable because it's so like, I don't even know right now. It's like everybody's feeling vulnerable and getting vulnerable, and I just remember talking to you and you told me some pretty heavy stuff about yourself and, about what was going on in your life. That's what I need to see. I'm terrible at small talk. I don't ever want to talk about, women my age want to talk about handbags. I got nothing. I have to get deep with people. Maybe that's kind of morbid, but like I have to be like, what's wrong? Like not what's right, but like, let's talk about what you've been through. What's made you stronger? What are you doing today? What's the solution?
It's more substantive, that it's like that it's the guts of the matter. Now, what about explaining something that is good about your life and getting to the nuts and bolts about that?
I think that's good. I think that's good.
It's harder to do.
It's harder to do. And there's so much good now, but I think at the time, like until recently, it was really hard for me to see what produced joy. That's why I can't write a song anymore either, is because I'm too happy now. I can't write a song because all my songs are sad. Do a podcast on that.
Well, aren't we doing that right now?
I guess.
Yeah.
I feel so vulnerable.
I don't know. It's like if I have depression, it takes the form of I don't feel anything rather than I feel something. And usually when that happens, when it used to be that I felt terrible, it was like, wow, I could go and do something really artistic and like dig that out, and then I'd feel better. And that would feel better than just being numb and being like, I got to get out of this. Well, let's kind of half-ass a song or some art to see if you could dig yourself out. But you just can't, from numbness, you can't dig yourself out. I don't feel. Maybe that's just me, but
no, I think that makes sense. I did write one song last year, accidentally dated. I decided I wasn't going to date anymore. And really, my life has gotten so much better. But I accidentally dated last year when I was living in Minnesota, and my heart hurt. And then I could write a song. I wrote one song. You didn't ask me if I've been writing songs, but I'm just telling you about it.
But so, how does one accidentally date someone?
Oh, it's tricky.
I would assume that takes lots of skill.
What happened was somebody started paying attention to me.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, oh, we're going to be friends. And then it was like, I probably shouldn't dig too deep into that.
That's whatever you need and whatever you're willing to share. How do you start with a song? You said that it just kind of comes out of you, but do you usually have to have your guitar in your hands when you're putting it together, or does it just kind of pop into your head and you just kind of hum something? Or
well, since we have iPhones now with notes, I can get a lyrical idea and then make a note of it, and then I'll try to write around it. That doesn't work for me. Like it is literally, I have to have the guitar and then I write a song. I always joke that it's like hashtag funny, not funny, but all of my songs are about crushes and death and being crushed to death. They are about crushes and death. So if no one's dying and nobody's paying attention to me and I don't get a crush, then
when you said that, it just reminded me of the Julian Baker line where she says, I wish I could write songs about anything other than death.
Ugh, I love her so much.
Yeah.
I don't know that line, but I really do like her.
It's off of the Sprained Ankle album. I hope I'm right. I hate when I'm like, this is exactly what it is, and then I say it wrong.
Do you listen to My Favorite Murder?
I do.
You could do a corrections corner.
Corner. Yes. All right. So how did you get the album, like, Let It Ride, like, recorded? And
well, I was very depressed during this process, and I was working with Kurt Bielema, who is amazing, and he was going to record this album for me, and I was sleeping a lot. I was heartbroken, and Kurt said he would record this record, and he was working on it all the time, and I was working on it hardly ever. And I remember that I would go to his house and I would like lay down on the floor and kind of sleep, or not sleep. Like I would just be like depressed, and he would be plugging away.
Huh.
He did like 99% of that record is Kurt Bielema, and I played acoustic guitar and sang, but everything else is him. It's a drum machine. He played guitar, bass.
Isn't it just neat that his own, I guess, fortitude to want to get that done, but knew that it would mean something really special to you, just to bring something into an existence that, would mean something to you. And
I'm forever grateful to him, because I'm sure I wasn't like the best person to be around at that time. And he worked so hard. He's a great songwriter too. Have you had him on your podcast?
I have not. I've
Note to self.
Asked him. He is on the short list, but
yeah, he's so talented.
I guess, is there anything else you'd like to, because you wrote some things down, I guess, about this song.
I wanted to tell you some fun facts about, not this song in particular, but other songs on the Let It Ride album.
Let's do that.
My friend Gina Villalobos sang backup on some songs, and I would encourage everyone to check her out. And LP sang backup on Downed and Godspeed the Plow. And that's cool because, LP is rocking it right now. She's the hardest working woman in show business. And Nielsen Hubbard, a great songwriter, who was one of my favorites at the time. Still love him. Don't really know what he's up to, but he sang backup on some of those songs too.
So how did that come about, that they ended up singing backups? And
Well, LP and Nielsen were playing shows locally while I was working on it. I think it was already in the mastering process. No, not when Nielsen.
Oh.
When Nielsen recorded, he was at Kurt's house. But I think LP actually went to the studio when Adam Schmidt had a studio in the back of Parasol.
oh, wow. Okay.
And LP sang backup vocals there, I think. And so did Gina.
That's amazing.
So yeah, you just ask,
Sure. Why not?
Ask and
But
you shall receive. Who said that?
a lot of people,
I think it was Jesus. I don't know.
maybe.
God.
I mean, I've said it.
God.
I said it like last week.
I
But,
did too. But it's true. Ask and you shall receive.
do you think about, there's a lot of people that, and maybe I'm putting you on the spot too, but this is also, I'm saying this as a friend too. I think it's amazing that, and I almost feel like, I don't want to should you, but I'm also like, it'd be cool if you focused on this for a little bit, is the idea that, although sometimes you really don't believe in yourself, there's a lot of people out there that really believe in you and really love the music that you do. And that I ran into some of the fights yesterday at Cobra Fest, and it was really like to just gushing about you and your just your songs and what it means to them and that kind of thing. And just I hear about people that are now famous that wanted to sing backups on your thing, and like Kurt putting so much effort into your own work that to complete Let It Ride. I just think that that's amazing. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe I'm just saying this, I just feel like it doesn't hurt to remember that and focus on it. So
I appreciate that, because I kind of quit writing or playing shows locally when nobody was showing up. Like when your friends stop showing up, it might be a good time to stop saturating the market. I don't know. And we didn't talk about the fights, actually, did we?
No, we haven't.
We should talk about them.
Okay.
And not to change the subject, because I appreciate that.
No, that's fine.
And I know that there are people who appreciate my music, and I appreciate that. I really do.
This guy right here.
And I love you for it. I love you for it. But I've never played music to like impress anybody or to make money. I just do it because it's fun, and it stopped being fun. And I played a show at the Resist Art Fair. I decided that I would play again. It had been a couple years. And I played a solo show, and Cole and Nick from the Fights showed up. And, they're like cool guys, I think.
Yeah.
They're like young, hip country guys. Love that. And Jeff Merritt gave me a copy of the Fights record, and I loved it. But I played that show, the Resist show, and those guys showed up, and I thought, oh, that's so sweet of those guys to come. Cole afterwards said that he cried during 2 of my songs, and I thought, wow, unexpected, right? I was like, I cry about my songs all the time, but that was very touching for me, because I think, like, when I cry, when I hear a song, that's a good song. He said, well, what do you think about if you played with the Fight sometime and we could be your backing band? And I was so touched. I was like, yeah, I would love that idea. I thought they were just being nice, though, because that's how I thought, why would they want to do that? But I went home and I called my parents and told them, and then I called my best friend, Josh, and then I texted some of my friends. I'm like, the Fights want to play with me. I didn't think it would happen. And then Cole texted me and said, what about Hog Shoot? I'm like, let's do it. And we got together and practiced 3 times. And I think they practiced once before I met with them. But they learned the songs, and they're so good. They're so good. And it was fun,
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do that some more. Because I was not having fun. By the time I quit playing shows, I'd played one show, and I thought, why would anybody do this? Why would anybody do this to themselves? I had so much anxiety, and I was like, what kind of egomaniacal asshole? Can I say asshole on this?
Oh, yeah.
Egomaniacal asshole.
Actually, it's required
would do
to say
this.
it. Yeah.
You know, like, I don't, ugh. I mean, I felt terrible.
I'm sorry. No, that's not great.
You know, and I hated myself. And do you ever feel like that? Like you're getting ready to play and you're like, why would you do this?
I kind of feel, watching you play at the Hog Shoot, I remember thinking, gosh, I cannot believe how comfortable and like in your element you seemed up on stage.
That was because it was in a barn. And I got to wear cowboy boots. But you know, that was the first time I hadn't been nervous playing. Probably ever.
Really?
Probably ever in my whole life.
That is amazing.
Sober. Well, Liquorette played a show once. It was the only time I drank and played music my whole career. I always just drank after. All I remember is that we played 2 songs. Well, 1 song twice. And then Matt was mad. After that, I got sober, of course. But I mean, my nerves were a wreck playing shows. That Hog Shoot, not nervous. Had a great time. Ready to roll, guys. Let's do it.
They're
cute too, aren't they? They're pretty cute.
Yes, very much so. And the thing is that they all love and trust each other. I feel like each one of them would probably like completely trust the other with their lives, but they also would trust them with their music, which is, you know, it maybe that's over dramatic, but I also am the way that they're able to interact, and I feel like they are not afraid to just be like, look, this is an idea that I have, let's play with it, that they're willing to be open with each other. And I get that sense every time I've been hanging around them, and it feels like they brought you into the fold like instantly.
Yeah, so. It was like, I make them call me mommy.
Yes.
I don't really make them call me mommy, but I feel kind of like their den mom. I met them like 10 years ago, maybe longer than that. One of them was dating a friend of mine. Ish, kind of.
Ish.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We went over to their house and they all lived together. And they're like brothers.
Champaign is Also a Band podcast is proud to support Exile on Main Street. Exile on Main Street, located in the old train station building at 100 North Chestnut Street in downtown Champaign, has been helping to build record collections since 2004. Carrying a wide array of new and used LPs, CDs, and video games. Exile on Main Street has something for just about any music enthusiast and old-school gaming devotee. Exile also hosts regular free live music shows on its stage, so be sure to check out their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for the up-to-date details on the next upcoming event. Open 7 days a week, they can be reached by phone at 217-398-MAIN. That's 217-398-6246. When did you move to the Champaign-Urbana area? Or have you always lived?
I moved to Champaign-Urbana after that little year in Columbia, Missouri. And my parents told me I could go somewhere to quote unquote rest, or I could go live with my brother in Champaign. I think I said, what's behind door number 3, but I ended up moving to Champaign. That was 1989. And I haven't left. I left for a few years. Well, you know, I worked at Parasol Records for 17 years. And after that, I moved to Maui. Kind of did a back and forth stint for 2 years. I was a tech-savvy gay butler.
Nice.
For some friends of mine who live on Maui. After that had sort of run its course, I didn't do anything. Some friends of mine were like, if we ever have kids, do you want to be our nanny? And I was like, yeah.
Awesome.
And then they actually had a kid, and I became the nanny. And we moved to Minnesota for 2 years. And last year we came back. And now I live here again.
I mean, you've been around long enough that you can, you know, remember when the blind pig was the blind pig. And how has the music scene changed in the time that you've been here? Like, initially, you said you moved in 1989.
There was a lot going on in the music scene in 1989. There was Mabel's. I was just old enough to get into the bars that summer. You had to be 19 to get into the bars. I don't know what it is now. But bands came from all over the country, in the world for that matter, to play at Mabel's. And then later, the Blind Pig opened, and then a lot of indie bands, like indie rock, started to... Well, maybe indie rock was already happening, probably.
Well, yeah.
I started to pay attention to it, and I was in bands, and we would play at the Pig. The original Blind Pig was amazing. I'm sure the new Blind Pig is amazing too, but I don't drink anymore, so.
But it's not.
There's Cat. I think there's Cat in
the brewery. Yes.
Yeah. So.
But it's not necessarily the same as. It's not like it has a big stage. I think it's where Cowboy Monkey is now.
Yeah.
So that is definitely.
It was amazing. I drank a lot there. I mean, we had a great time. And that's a time when bands were getting signed, and Poster Children got signed, Home got signed, Hardvark, Menthol, which was Mother at the time. Great band, Mother. Oh, hell yeah. Love that. I loved Mother. And then the High Dive was a great venue.
Yeah, that was like early 2000s. Champaign is also a band podcast is proud to support Jubilee Cafe. Jubilee Cafe is a free weekly meal program at Community United Church of Christ, 805 South 6th Street in Champaign, Illinois. Jubilee Cafe serves a home-cooked meal from 5 to 6:30 each Monday. Their mission is to feed hungry people by cooking healthy, delicious meals and by serving their guests restaurant-style with servers waiting on tables. Jubilee Cafe is open to anyone who cares to eat with them. Because food insecurity among students is so high, they serve students as well as others in and around the Champaign-Urbana community who struggle with hunger. Meals are free to all and will be served each Monday evening. Located in the accessible lower level of the building at 6th and Daniel Streets in Champaign. For more information on the meal or how to volunteer, go to the Jubilee Cafe CUCC Facebook page or email them at jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. That's jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. What is your favorite non-musical thing?
I'm going to go with sleep.
Sleep? All right.
I'm going to go with...
Let's fist bump to that.
Can I have a couple non...
Yeah, absolutely. Bring it up.
I love colored Christmas tree lights.
Colored, okay.
I love gray gardens.
Excellent.
I love Marianne Williamson.
Okay.
Who happens to be running for president.
All right, well... Tell us about Marianne
Well, just
Williamson.
go check out marianne2020.com. I'll leave it at that. What else do I love? I love cats. Cats are my favorite non-musical thing.
Do you have any favorite cat stories that you'd love to share?
Well, I don't really...
You're not a story collector of cats?
No. I do own the domain name Catdict, which I don't know if it makes sense, but like a cat addict.
Yeah.
Because I was going to just have a website of all things cats for sale.
Oh.
Like a little thrift store for cats. I had a cat, Dale.
Mm-hmm.
I had her for 19 years.
Yeah.
I loved her. She was my best friend. And I can still feel her jump on the bed. I think she's around. It's like sometimes in our lives we find someone we don't know.
Oh.
But something deep inside tells you they're part of your whole. And you look into a kitten's eyes or a dog's eyes and you realize, you recognize. Do you believe in reincarnation?
I do believe that there isn't necessarily an end to what we consider as our little meat pockets that we run around in. You know,
that just
I know.
grossed me out.
I'm so sorry.
No, I don't.
our little flesh castle that our soul inhabits,
Yikes.
or our consciousness. I don't know. I mean,
I
it's
know.
like, right?
I know what you're saying.
We're like this
I'm getting
animated.
used to it.
Yeah, we're this animated collection of cells that has something more than just the neurons. I don't know. I guess that's how I always feel about it, and whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. But does it really matter? Because either I'm going to be dead one day and nothing, or I'll be dead one day but something else. So
Let's write a song about that.
Okay. I'm just going to reach over here, grab a bass. You can have the little tiny guitar. Angie, thank you for coming on the show and talking about your song, It's Easier When You're Here, off the album Let It Ride. And, I look forward, and I hope that you get to write that happy song, and you get to, well, I don't know, whatever your endeavors, because sometimes if it's not making you happy or making you feel better, then why bother?
I agree. That's my goal. That's what I'm like putting out into the universe is, let me write a happy song or something that will help other people.
That sounds good. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I love you.
I love you too, Angie.
Thank you for listening to Champaign is Also a Band podcast. This is Angie Heaton reminding you great music is out there. Go find it where you live. Go find it where you live.
Yeah, go find it where you
Go
live.
somewhere else and find it.
Go find it where you live. All right? Ah,
Get out of my yard.
stupid kids. You almost have an NPR voice. It's so good.
Studio South Peter on the inside.